Welcome to the 2021 Dr. Lewis B. O'Donnell Media Summit Red Carpet event. I'm your host, Danny Hernandez.
And I'm also your host, Melanie Higgins.
Melanie, this is our first media summit that's back in person since the pandemic pretty much began. How are you feeling?
Oh, I'm so excited to be here. As you guys might know, last year was my first year on campus, and I experienced my first media summit. It was on Zoom, which was unfortunate, but you know what? They made it work. It was terrific, but I think there's nothing that beats an in-person experience. What about you, Danny?
You know, I'm pretty excited as well. I mean, last year's event was awesome, and now we get to learn all that information, but we're in person, so we're getting that interpersonal relationships with all the guests we have for today. But before we go anywhere, we have Ben Kinney live at the red carpet. Ben, what do you have for us?
Thanks, Danny. I'm over here at the red carpet for the 2021 Lewis B. O'Donnell Media Summit. I'll have some interviews with guests, as guests are starting to arrive as we speak, actually. So be sure to stay tuned for those interviews. Definitely going to be interesting. Back to you, Danny.
Thanks, Ben. So, Mel, this year's theme is On Demand, In Demand, the audience and the future of video streaming. How do you feel about this topic?
You know what, Danny, I think that this is a terrific topic to be had because we are in the streaming days. This is the realm of streaming. You and I stream every day. Earlier today, I was talking with Frank Palumbo in one of those breakout sessions, and he's actually going to be in that main event at 3 o'clock. And he's with Nielsen. He says that they are seeing more and more households in America go to that streaming platform. So it's just a great topic to be had, and I think it's going to affect all of us as we go into the real world. Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, just look at it now. A few years ago, we only had, Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, but now we're evolving to Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, Peacock. So, it's very evident that the world's changing in the world of streaming, but I'm really excited for what the future has in hold. But next up, we have WTOP's reporter Lane Russell, who actually spoke to this year's moderator.
Hello, everybody. I'm Wayne Russell, and I'm joined today by Justin Dobrow, who's going to be the moderator for this year's Media Summit. He's also an Oswego alumni. Justin, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Happy to be with you.
Thank you. So this year's topic for the Media Summit is On Demand, In Demand, the future of video streaming. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Peacock?
Yep. So I work at NBC Universal. I work on the program operations team supporting Peacock. So essentially, Peacock is making their editorial decisions. They're deciding what content they want on Peacock. They're making deals. They're spending a bunch of money. They basically give us a list. We then onboard all of the different post-production houses, providers that are sending this content. We make sure it's coming into spec. We prep it, we ingest it, and then we deliver it out to the Peacock platform. So we're really in the middle of fulfillment for Peacock. So they decide what they want, we make it happen, we get it to Peacock. So that's essentially my role at NBC.
And what made you want to pursue this career path? It's one of those jobs in the media that you wouldn't really think about at first glance.
Yeah, it's a great question, Lane. I definitely didn't, while I was in college, I'm a graduate of SUNY Oswego, I didn't think that this is the job I want in fulfillment. But, I actually made some connections. There was an alum that was a former GM at WTOP. Him and I were connected just through, I was also a GM at WTOP for 2 years. Him and I connected. At the time he worked at NBC Universal, he worked in broadcast operations. And he helped me land my first job. And I got to then see this world of technical operations, which is our business unit in NBC Universal. And you really was able to see all of the things you don't think about in television. How does TV, how does streaming, how does, on-demand assets get to where they are? And so, I started that right when I graduated college. And so I just sort of climbed up the ladder, if you will, in terms of roles that help to support getting TV or streaming media to where it needs to go so that we can consume it.
Of course, and streaming has definitely gotten very big in the last couple of years with a multitude of different platforms that have emerged. Are there any future trends that you see coming about in the streaming world?
I mean, certainly streaming is a very saturated market. I think everybody wants to get into it. And I think a few players are going to do it well. And I think in order to do it well, you have to have good content. So first and foremost, what is your good content going to be? And I think a lot of, the big streamers are going to have to pay a lot of money to get the good content. But if you have it, that's what's going to draw viewership. I think, for example, you think of something like Squid Game, right? Netflix has gotten international audiences to all watch a show that is in Korean, but they dubbed it over in English, and everybody, not everybody, of course, but a lot of people have consumed this show. I think it had like 100 million viewers, which is crazy. And the biggest linear, network show launches, you see, maybe 10 million viewers. That's a lot now. So I think you have to have good content. I think we're going to see a ton of more of different players try it. You think of something like Quibi, right? This was going to be those short videos you'd watch on your commute, and you could watch it in landscape or portrait mode, whatever. And but that failed. And was their content that good? They had a few originals that they tried to do, but at the end of the day, it wasn't sustainable. So, you have to have good content, and then you have to have a way to monetize that content and monetize it well.
Thank you so much. Again, Justin is the moderator for the Media Summit's main discussion, which will air immediately after the red carpet show. Back to you guys.
Thank you so much, Lane. And right now, we're actually joined by a special guest. We have Abby Zerwanka with us, who's this year's event director. Abby, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty awesome. So, Abby, you got to tell me, how does it feel to be back in person for the Media Summit?
We are so excited to be back in person. I had the opportunity to be a part of this event last year online, and honestly, nothing beats the energy and just honestly the day vibes being back in person. We had a lot more opportunities to connect with our guests as student ambassadors, talk to them one-on-one, have lunch, breakfast. It's just an honor to be back here in person, have that whole experience come to life.
Yeah, wow, I totally agree. And now that we are back in person, what does being back in person mean for you?
It is just so exciting. Honestly, I could not sleep last night for this day. Waking up today, I was just excited. This day went by way too fast, but just kind of seeing everything come to life right in front of your eyes, an event that you work so hard for, is just amazing.
And it definitely is showing off. We can definitely see the hard work you're doing.
Thank you.
So last year, you were the assistant event director, and now you're the actual event director. So how was that transition like for you?
Yeah, so every year we typically have, except for this year, an assistant and then an event director, and the hope is that the assistant will move into that event director role. So last year I spent a lot of my time helping Ben and Michaela, who were last year's event directors, plan the event, so I knew kind of how to take that leadership role one step further for this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. And since you had a hand in, getting the guests here, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what we expect to see, who we expect to see at that main event at Waterman?
Yes, we are super excited. We have an amazing panel filled with a ton of great industry professionals. They each have great experience in the radio, film, and television industry. We have Renard Jenkins, we have Chrissy Guest, Jamie DeMoe, Frank Palumbo, and moderator Justin Dubrow, and they will tell us a little bit more about their experiences in each position that they held during the panel.
That's awesome. So speaking of awesome, we were actually just discussing this year's theme, and we're both obsessed with it. On demand, in demand. That is so clever. How did you come up with this topic?
It's been a topic of discussion for a few years now. We've honestly been waiting to use this topic. We were originally using it last year, and then we switched to a little bit more topic that was time sensitive with coronavirus and the political campaign. So it's been an idea that was actually chosen by our old faculty advisor. Moritz had this idea. It's just a good topic, we feel, because students really have grown up in the live streaming era of when everything started changing. We grew up watching DVDs, then watching our DVDs go away, then watching our streaming services come up. So I feel like it's a great topic for this, the typical college student age range.
Thank you.
For sure. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, and stay tuned for more after the break.
look, a redhead.
Staring contest.
You still got it.
I know. Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
You were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
And welcome back to WTOP10. I'm your host, Melanie Higgins. Now, we are being joined now with Matt Stone, who is a segment producer at Good Morning America. Matt, it seems like you have had a successful career built for yourself. Why don't you take us through what a day-to-day life for you looks like?
Oh, thanks, guys. Glad to be back at As We Go, of course. Really, every day is completely different based on what's going on in the news. So some days could be working on a long-term story, some days could be for the next day air, so really just whatever the news cycle brings us.
Yeah, and so as you might know, our theme for this year is on demand and how it's in demand. So knowing that for streaming services, we see movies and television being streamed all the time. What else, as from your perspective as a producer, can we expect to be seeing streamed as we move into the realm of streaming?
Yeah, I think news is probably the next to come, and whether that's, you know, just besides linear cable television, maybe also on your streaming platforms. You might be able to watch your favorite news shows on, say, a Disney Plus, on a Hulu, on any of those platforms. So as it continues to advance, I think the ways that you're going to be able to consume content is just going to grow exponentially.
No, for sure. I totally agree with that. And just recently, we're starting to see new shows like the new iCarly, the new Rugrats, all these brand new shows, even just Marvel with all their spin-offs they're doing now. So how do you think networks are going to be approaching their new shows in the future?
Yeah, I mean, with all the streaming platforms, the demand for content is an all-time high. So taking things that were successful in the past and also bringing new shows, you see like how much a program like a Game of Thrones can bring to a platform like HBO. You see what Disney's doing with the spin-offs of the Marvel franchises and Star Wars as well. So it has never been a better time to get into content because there's a desire and a need for it across the board.
Awesome. And I have a really important question for you.
Yes.
So I'm a graduating senior. So what advice do you have for somebody who is just like me, who's looking to get right into the industry once they graduate?
Yeah, I think an internship is always the best way to start. Getting the real world experience is important, as well as kind of just learning the ropes. If you're able to intern somewhere, even if it's just for a couple weeks or a couple months before going into that job, you gain that invaluable experience. And once you're then, graduated into the real world, you already know what to expect. You're not coming in blind. You have that perspective on what you need to do. I interned at GMA when I was still at Oswego my junior year. I ended up freelancing over some breaks, some Christmas, New Year's, all of those, and then came back full-time once I graduated. So I already kind of knew what to expect full-time once I graduated because I had worked there a little bit before.
Yeah. Thank you for those words of advice. That was really helpful.
Of course.
It was really great speaking to you.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you guys.
We do have more with Ben Kinney live at the red carpet. Ben, what do you have for us?
All right, thanks, guys. I'm here with Travis Clark, senior media reporter with Insider. Travis, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. So first question, since you started with Insider, how much have you seen streaming services change? Is it more or less the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's changed a lot. When I first started at Insider, Netflix was pretty much like the only streaming service. within the last 2 years, a lot more have entered the industry. Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, HBO Max, Peacock, a ton. So, the industry has certainly expanded, and it's all because, these big media companies want to compete with Netflix.
Right. Now, in your opinion, how do you think companies will choose whether they release new movies onto these streaming services or if they release them into theaters?
Yeah, it really depends on the movie studio. Warner Brothers did all their movies this year on streaming along with theaters. Disney has done more of like a hybrid, and then this fall they are releasing all of their movies exclusively to theaters. So, it really depends on the studio and, the movie. I think studios have been more inclined to put lower budget or animated movies on streaming, unless it's Warner, which I mentioned has just put all of their movies on streaming this year.
All right. Thank you very much, Travis. That's Travis Clark, senior media reporter with Insider. Danny, Melanie, back to you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ben, for that. That was great. Now, stay tuned. We're going to have more Media Connectors for you right after the break, and we're going to go right back on the red carpet. Have a great time. We'll see you right after the break.
Oh, look, a redhead.
Staring contest.
You still got it. I know.
Come alive with the forest.
The dad was cute.
They were looking right at us.
Visit discovertheforest.org to find a forest near you.
Welcome back to the 2021 Media Summit. I'm your host, Danny Hernandez, and we have another special guest here. We have Kaylee DeBrow. Katie, how are you? Or Kaylee, how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing pretty awesome. So Kaylee, I hear that you're the senior social strategist at Element, right?
Yes.
So how's that like?
Yeah, so it's been great. I started there in January 2021, so did a mid-pandemic job change. So that's been very fun. So yeah, we've been working from home and started going back into the office again. So yeah, that's been really great.
Awesome. And so now that pretty much streaming is allowing us to watch anything, wherever, whenever, however now, how do you think this is going to change the way networks advertise their content?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely all moving digital. So much of what we do, there's really not as many linear ad sales anymore. The ad sale buys are now combined into streaming platforms like Peacock and Hulu and things like that. So you're not just buying something on your local broadcasting, you're buying an ad slot for a streaming platform, which is really interesting and definitely a shift in the industry.
Right, and Kaylee, now that you're here, if I'm not mistaken, you are a former event director
Yes.
for the Media Summit yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah? Great. And how does it feel to be back?
It's so much fun. It's kind of crazy. It's a bit of a full circle moment for sure, but I've been having a lot of fun today, and it's really cool to be able to see it from the perspective of an alumni a few years out.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of different changes. As you can tell, here in Tyler Hall, it's quite significantly
It's
different.
beautiful,
I
yeah.
know, right? So how have you, like, visiting campus has been?
Yeah, it's been awesome. Everything is so similar, but yeah, totally different. My final Media Summit was actually the first year that we were back in Tyler Hall, so it's cool to come back here and see that it's, you know, still happening and flourishing here. So yeah, it's been really fun to be back.
Well, it was awesome speaking to you. Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
so
us, and I
much.
can't wait to see your little show at the end of the panel.
Thank you.
But we have we're back with Ben Kinney at the live red carpet, and he's speaking to one of our favorite professors, Jessica Rear.
I'm here with Professor Jessica Rear, chairperson of the Communications Department at SUNY Oswego. Professor, good to see you.
Nice to see you too. It's nice to see you.
Yeah. Oops, sorry, my mouse falling down there. Now, first question, do you believe that the rise in these streaming services will amplify voices outside of the mainstream?
You know, I hope so. I think that the streaming services give a lot of opportunities that weren't there before and open a lot of doors. So I think that we're going to see that, and I think that there's a huge push to have more diversity in what we're seeing and what we're consuming as audiences.
Now, how do the changes in the way that individuals consume media, how do these changes affect the way that you and other professors here at Oswego have to teach communication?
We've had to be really flexible, and I mean, we've had to do that over the pandemic anyway, but we have to be super cognizant of all these new technologies and all these new advancements and stay on top of that, because we want our students to come out on the other side and be fully prepped for this sort of new world, and so we sort of have to be like sightseers or future seers and look into what's going to happen next so we can have you all prepared and open those doors and opportunities for you.
All right, thank you very much, Professor. Professor Jessica Rear, chairperson of the Communications Department here at SUNY Oswego. We'll be right back here with the Red Carpet Show on WTOP10.
I'm a lot more confident and a lot more sure of my abilities. At Oswego is where I've really found myself and became the person I am. You work hard and you play hard. I love the environment of SUNY Oswego.
Made her college years possible, opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading campus tours, and deciphering financial aid. If you can ace planning for college, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back to the Red Carpet Show. I'm your host, Danny Hernandez. So I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in, joining us for our show. Melanie, this was an awesome event for all of us. What was your favorite moment or some of your favorite guest speakers for today?
You know what, Danny? I really liked speaking with Matt Stone. I think his experience at Good Morning America as a segment producer, I think that's wonderful to be able to talk to him and get that perspective from him. I know you and I are going into news, and although Good Morning America is a multifaceted show, such a long show too, he has experience in the news world, so listening to him and his experiences for me, and I know you as well, I just found that fantastic, and I'm so glad I got the opportunity to speak with him in person nonetheless.
For sure. For me, I'd probably have to say it was Abby because, I've gotten to get to know Abby these past couple of months, and I could tell that she has put extremely hard work into everything that we're doing for today, planning for our guests, the events, just everything. And I was just speaking to her before the show, and she was actually just telling me about how they started planning this back in May. So pretty much from May up until now, it has been hard work. And honestly, good for you, Abby. A lot of respect for that.
Yeah, and one of those things that she worked hard on was the theme, on demand, in demand. Yes. That is so exciting. As we said before, we are moving further and further into a streaming world where it's our main large and in charge thing that we are doing. So what do you think about that?
You know what, Melanie? I'm going to say I feel like we're already in the future if you think about it. I mean, we have so many streaming services, I can't even count them anymore. So, it's not even just TV. It is also music, TV shows, movies, everything. So honestly, I'd say we're already in the future, but that's just me.
I think I agree, Danny. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and stay tuned for that main event in Waterman. We're going to be streaming it on our live stream right here. Stay tuned. My name is Melanie Higgins.
And I'm Danny Hernandez. Thanks for watching.